Hello everybody, welcome back to Dee's Book Brain. I'm Dee, and this is my Book Brain. Did you miss me? Probably not, because the only two people that watch this video are my husband who edits it, and my Aunt Nancy who loves me. I love you, Aunt Nancy. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the books I read in September and October. So we're doing a catch-up here, but since we love talking about books, it doesn't matter. The more the merrier. Everybody's happy. I have a little notebook here that I wrote everything down in. I read 29 books in both months combined, so not each month separately because that would be insane. So we're just going to go through the books. I actually only have 2 physical books here. The rest were either from my library or audiobooks. So let's get started with the month of September. So since this video is going to contain 29 books, I'm not going to spend too long talking about each one unless I really loved it or really hated it. So the first book that I read is Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke. This is a not a short story, I guess like a novelette about a man who becomes the father of a boy. It's weird. It's like everybody remembers him and this son being father and son except for him, the main character. So it's super creepy, very eerie if you are frightened of children, such as like I am. Anyway, it's good to see some things haven't changed. So if you are terrified of children like me, any stories with creepy kids is fantastic, and that's exactly what this one is. So I gave Sour Candy 3.5 out of 5 stars. For being a novelette, you know, it's kind of hard to really wow me, but it's also kind of hard to be bad. I don't know, it's a weird thing. But anyway, Sour Candy. Like it, love it, get some more of it. The second book I read in September is Awakened by James Murray and Darren Wearmouth. Wearmouth, that's what I wrote down. This is a fine book. It's about creatures in the subway rising after work's been done. It felt like it would probably work better as a movie than it would as a book, because it was very visual. I could see everything. But you know, it just takes the perspective of a couple of different characters whilst these creatures are rising from the depths of the New York City subway system. There's a sequel. I'm probably not going to read it. At the end, it kind of took a more global stance than I think it needed to, but if that's your thing, that's your thing. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Wicked and the Wallflower by Sarah MacLean. She is my all-time favorite historical romance writer. I believe this is the second book in the Scandal and Scoundrels was the last series. Bare Knuckle Bastards. So that's what this one was. It is the first book in the Bare Knuckle Bastards trilogy. So far it's a trilogy. Historical romance plot, insert plot here. You know, Sarah MacLean is genius at characters. So whether or not you're reading the same story over and over again, it is what it is. So gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. This book was very upsetting. I, for one, love a bad boy romance. Give me the bad boys all day long. But there's a difference between bad boy and toxic boy. Corrupt is about this girl and a school bully, and they have a very tumultuous relationship. It's insanely toxic. He and his friends, it's her brother's friends. I don't really know. The point is, I didn't care for how the relationship burned. There were just so many, like, I don't mind problematic scenes in a romance novel, like, angsty guy and he beats up a dude for looking at his girl. Like, would I want that in real life? No, jealousy is not a cute trait on people. But is it fine in a book? Sure, because it's fiction. It's not hurting me. It's not hurting anybody else. But the stuff that our main characters get into and corrupt it's beyond cruel. It's beyond mean. Definitely won't be reading the rest of the series. I am interested in possibly reading some more Penelope Douglas because I like her writing. Her writing is pretty good. I mean, it's fine. I don't know, honestly, but I experienced some things with the book Corrupt as far as romance genre goes that I have never experienced with any other book, and I don't want to experience with any other book. There's a particular scene at the end where they are helping out a friend, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you'll either have to read it or trust me. I don't know. I gave it 3 stars because Corrupt, Penelope Douglas. Read at your own risk. I just can't get over how toxic their relationship is. But it's fiction, so I guess that, I don't know what that does, but it's there. Alright, so the next book I read in the month of September is Something Borrowed, Something Blood-Soaked by Krista Carmen. This is a collection of short stories. I would say it's a piece of feminine fiction, a collection of horror short stories. Every one of them was great. Like, I normally, with short story, especially horror short story collections, it's very, they're either all good or they're all bad. I personally have not found one that's a mix of both. So this one was all good. If you like feminist fiction and horror, definitely give it a shot. It's a quick read, very engaging. I was actually really impressed with it. It was recommended by the Books in the Freezer podcast, and pretty much everything they touch is gold in my opinion, so I picked it up and I was not disappointed. And I ended up giving that one 5 out of 5 stars. Sorry, alright, I almost broke something. Alright, next we have a book that I actually have a physical copy of. Tales from the Shadowside. I'm going to have to get up close because lighting, it's a nightmare. This is by Jonathan Jans. This is an exclusive edition that we got through the Nightworms October? No. September. So it's a collection of short stories. I've read this. It was very good, though I think there was only one story that I was kind of like, maybe not. But Jonathan Jans is disturbed and disturbing. But it definitely, it's the good kind of disturbing where it doesn't make you want to take a shower, but at the same time you still want to wipe off with a baby wipe, you know, just to get the general grime off of you. But definitely worth picking up. I don't think you can pick it up unless because, yeah, only 350 paperbacks made. But if you can ever find a chance to get a hold of it, definitely do if you like horror and short stories. Especially if you can read The Witching Hour Theater. That story in here was just, wow. A perfect horror story, if I do say so myself. And I do, because it's my channel, and I say so myself. I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. Only took off half a star because of that one story I just wasn't crazy about. Alright. The next book on my list that I read in September is probably going to be the best book I've read all year. I know I said that about Fantastic Land, and I've already decided that when I come to the best books of the year, I'm going to divide them into categories. So as far as romance is concerned, Well Met by Jen DeLuca is the best book I've ever read. It makes me so happy. I love it. So it is about this girl, and she is moving in with her sister to help her because her sister broke her leg and she's got a child and she's got a lot going on. And so her niece wants to do this Renaissance festival, and she has to have a chaperone peruse? Parsnips? She has to have an adult with her to participate. That's the word we're looking for. And so, the leader of the Renaissance Fair, his name is Simon, and he's a jerk. He's a big old jerk. But he's a jerk with a soft side. Like my chin there. Basically, it is the hate to love romance, or not even hate. My cats. She's found something that's going to make noises, so I apologize. It's definitely it's cute, it's quirky, it's not too heavy, so it definitely doesn't deal with any, like, it deals with grief and loss, but not, it's good. It's so cute, it's so quirky, it's a little spicy, there's a whole lot of sweet. This but definitely 5 out of 5 stars. End of discussion. I cannot wait to see what Jen DeLuca does next. I know she's coming out with a companion novel to Well Met. I'm super excited about that because it was kind of hinted at that there was another story brewing somewhere near the end of the book, so I can't wait. I love Simon so much. He might be my favorite boyfriend book boyfriend of the year. Aside from my very own dear husband, who I love more than life itself. So anyway, Well Met. 5 out of 5 stars. Alright, next we have A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. The premise of this one is so funny. It's a romance book, and the main characters are... Okay. It's a romance book. And everybody knows about the Nigerian prince email scam. Like, that's just like, Nigerian prince wants to give me $1 million. The premise of this book is that this young professional actually is getting emails telling her that she is engaged to a Nigerian prince. And she just keeps getting these emails over and over and over and over. And of course she's just like, ugh. What kind of idiot do they think I am? And so she's ignoring these emails. Well, the prince himself decides to show up on her doorstep because apparently she used to live in... Actually, I don't think he's Nigerian. Let's just pop up he's the prince of this. And it's going to show up on my hand because I have a good editor. But anyway, he shows up and he pretends that he's just a normal guy, that he's not this, famous prince that she's been betrothed to since she was little, before her parents ran away and ran to America with her. And it's just their romance, and of course the truth comes out. It's a very good book. It's actually my first romance with the main characters are POCs, people of color, and it was great. I'm definitely looking forward to reading some more Alyssa Cole. It was just perfect. I listened to it as an audiobook, and it was hilarious. I really liked the premise. I thought it was really cute. Just take this like classic scam thing and turn it into this beautiful romance. It was so cute. And I gave that 3.5 out of 5 stars. Alright, next I read / listened to A Polaroid Guy in a Snapchat World by David Spade. I got this as like an Audible exclusive. I think it was free, so I got it. It was read by the man himself. It was super funny. I have a soft spot in my heart for the older days of Saturday Night Live, back when Chris Farley and Adam Sandler and of course David Spade. And my husband and I go round and round on this, but to me, Grown Ups is one of the funniest movies that group has come out with. I love it so much.
Wrong.
He thinks that I'm insane for liking that movie, but you know what?
Wrong.
It is what it is.
Wrong.
I'm not too worried about it.
Wrong.
But it's just him talking about his life, talking about more about his personal life, rather than like his career or anything, which is fun. It's still funny. I ended up giving that 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read, honestly, I feel like I skimmed it. It was Alice by Christina Henry. Christina Henry? Yeah. It's essentially a horror retelling of Alice in Wonderland. was fun. I wasn't like crazy impressed with it, but it was my first time listening on 2.5 speed, which now I'm used to, but then I was still getting used to like the very, not 2.5, just 2.0 speed. So I was still getting used to not being able to catch everything right away. So I may have missed some stuff, but I can say the descriptions, like the gory descriptions, they're really good. Once they get to caterpillars, walrus, some mob guy with an Alice in Wonderland creature name, and they find out this harem of women, held captive. That part's pretty scary. I think I'm fairly certain there's more books in the little story series, but I'm not gonna read them. I ended up giving Alice by Christina Henry 3.5 out of 5 stars. A lot of 3.5s on this list. It's a pretty average month, September. Alright, so the next book I read is called #MurderTrending by Gretchen McNeil. This is, I think there's a movie called Running Man that was about a bunch of convicts who are on this island and they're videotaped to kill each other. But isn't that the premise?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's televised.
Televised.
Murder games.
Yeah. So essentially that's what it is. It's the Running Man for teenagers. This girl gets framed. She gets framed for the murder of her stepsister. And so she gets put on this island, and this island has like all these crazy characters as far as the killers go. Like Mayhem Molly and Prince Charming, and they all kill in their own unique ways. It's actually really interesting. But she manages to survive her very first day. And she ends up meeting up with a group of other survivors, and it's just their story surviving on the island. Super good. Loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. It was a super engaging read. I don't know if I'm going to read the second one. I'm not crazy huge into sequels, so if a book kind of ties up cleanly at the end of the first book, I probably won't read the second one just because it was good enough, unless it's typically like a fantasy series, in which case you have to read. But moving on, 5 out of 5 stars. #MurderTrending. The next book I read was The Silent Patient by, bear with me, Alex Michaelides. It was an interesting book. It was about this woman who kills her husband completely out of the blue, and she goes dead silent. She won't speak to anybody. She won't talk to nobody. She's just like So she obviously can't defend herself, so they put her in an insane asylum, and this doctor, the psychiatrist, wants to kind of take on her case to help her out, and it's just that story. This was a big book that people were talking about a lot, and the twist is interesting. I don't know if it's a good twist. I certainly didn't see it coming, but that doesn't always make it a good twist. It's like the whole family was murdered and it turns out the dog did it. Like, I wouldn't see it coming. Doesn't make it a good twist. But I ended up giving The Silent Patient 3 stars. Because again, it was good. I was really invested in the, why did she, because there's no doubt she killed him. Is there no doubt she killed him? Oh my gosh, I can't even remember. That's how unremarkable the whole thing was to me. But the twist is very sudden. I don't read it, don't read it, I don't really care. I'm just telling you what I thought about it. So yeah, 3 stars. Silent Patient, Alex Michaelides. Alright, next I have The Escape Room by Megan Golden. Go ahead and tell you, 5 out of 5 stars. I was super into this movie. I love escape rooms. I saw the movie Escape Room. Was it the world's best film ever made? No. Was it serviceable? Yes, I liked it. So this is about a woman who gets a job at a financing firm, I guess. And she's just, It's like the movie Boiler Room, where it's just like every man for himself, you know, and so it's just her journey, like, in this cutthroat world of banking, I guess. But there's also another story going on where it's her coworkers are all trapped in this, like, escape room elevator, but it's not like they signed up for an escape room. They were told to, like, come to this meeting. It's a group building exercise. And so they go and they get trapped in this elevator and it turns into an escape room. It was super good. I super liked this book. I literally finished it in one sitting. I was doing an audiobook. Couldn't stop listening to it. It was so, like, good. It's a standard thriller mystery. There's nothing crazy special about it. But things unfold very well. And I think that's kind of the key to a good thriller. That's the key to a good thriller, is you have to time your reveals, and you have to reveal them girl, if you don't stop. She is going through the coupons to decide if she wants to get some cat food for sale. But yeah, the Escape Room, definitely a solid mystery thriller. Highly recommend it. Like I said, I finished it in one sitting. The ending was a little, like, okay. But it's so good you don't really mind how crazy the ending is. Alright. So, oh, yep, I already said I got that one 5 out of 5. Alright, the next book I read in the month of September was Experimental Film by Gemma Files. This was the one book of the month that was just a freaking quicksand. It was like going through quicksand. It's about this woman. Honestly, I was so confused about the plot at certain points. I was like, okay, what's going on? What's happening? Just tell me what I'm looking at. But it was about this woman who sees this old film, and within this film there are clips from an even older film. And so she starts to investigate, and it turns into this, like, ghost, evil spirit thing. It was good, but if it had just been, like, 150 pages shorter, or even 200 pages shorter, if it had been a short story novella, it would have been perfect. But as it stands, it was just too much. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. And honestly, I don't have a problem DNFing a book that I don't like. But if I feel like this book is going to pay off, there's going to be something that makes me think, yes, I'm so glad I stuck with this, then I'm going to push through. This did not pay off like I thought it was going to. Hold on one second. I have a cat problem. Girl, give me a... knock it off. Jeez Louise. Alright. So yeah, experimental film. This is not my bag. Not my cup of tea. Next book next book I read was The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. Honest to goodness, cannot remember a single thing about this book. I was so uninvested. Uninvested? Disinvested? Aloested? Something. I was not involved. 2 different timelines, murders taking place, all girls boarding school. I gave it 3 stars. Honestly, I think I'm going to knock off a star, because I really honestly can't remember anything about it, and that is sad. So, Broken Girls, kind of a ghost story, kind of a murder mystery, kind of boring. Yowie. Alright, and the last book I read in the month of September was Soul of Stars by Ashley Poston. Remember what I said about not really digging sequels? I read this sequel. This is the sequel to Heart of Iron, which is basically Anastasia in space. Anastasia inspired in space. I got the first book in an owl crate. I read it, and it was fine. It was just kind of like, this is fun. But then the last, like, 5 minutes of the book, I was just like, say, what? What's going on? I'm sorry, excuse me. who got done what to. You know, it was very like, bam, 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 action, 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 twist, twist, twist. So I was like, well, now I literally have to read the sequel. And it was serviceable. It was fun. It was a good series overall. I guess you could say I like the second one better than the first one, which is always a good thing. You want to end on a strong note. I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5. It's a fine book. Nothing crazy wrong with it. It was a little draggy in some points. But, you know, what book isn't these days? So, that's all the books I read for September. Now on to October. I hope you got popcorn for yourself. Or don't. I don't know your dietary needs. If you can't have popcorn, don't have popcorn. Just get something to enjoy. I probably should have said that at the beginning of the video. Now you're feeling duped. Now you're feeling like I've been misleading you. But you know what? You're here. So, moving on. So, the first book I read in the month of October was... Really? October? Yeah, October. Jeez. The Fandom by Anna Day. This story was my dream come true. So it's about this girl and her friends who are at this convention for her favorite novel or show, novel, movie, both. And she's taking a picture with the hunk, the big, you know, lead dude. And all of a sudden, wha-bam! Scaffolding falls on her, wha-bam! And she wakes up and she's in the world of the fandom. She's in this mystical, fictional world, and so she has to, like, play out the story. But as young hearts do, they went awry and didn't necessarily follow the story, which is fun. There are a lot of haughty secondary characters to some of my fandoms that I would much have rather gallivanted with than the main character, but, you know, to each their own. Super good, super, super good. It ended suddenly, which is fun, because there is a sequel. It's weird, I can't get a hold of the sequel. I think it's Australian based. So my library had the first one, but they don't have the second one. And the second one, I go on Amazon, it's like it's only available in like hardback from far away. I don't know, we'll find out. Maybe one day I'll read the sequel, maybe I won't. I would like to, but if I don't, it is what it is. But I gave the Fandom 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, I love this book. It's called The Beholder by Anna Bright. This book was trash. Now, when I say trash, in this sense, I mean it made my heart feel all warm and fuzzy. So it was basically every trope in young adult romance that is despised, but it was really good. So it's about this girl who is, she thinks she's going to be betrothed to this guy. Like, they don't really know a lot about each other, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, she proposes, he rejects her, she's devastated. So her stepmom is like, hey, I got these 3 suitors lined up, or like 5 suitors. I don't know how many, 3, 5? I think we only meet 2. No, we meet 3? Dang, I think we only meet 2. Yep, we only meet 2. So she's like, you're gonna go meet these guys, and you better not come back without a husband, so you better fall in love with somebody, girl. And she goes, and it's so good. I mean, it is just like, it's bad because she's just like, I love him, no I don't, now I love him, maybe I don't, what's going on? You know, it's just teenage angst just pouring out of every orifice. But I couldn't get enough. Like, I couldn't put it down, because it's one of, like, you know how, like, when you read a young adult, when there's romance involved, and she meets the person that is going to be, or he meets the person that's going to be their romantic interest, and you're like, I know this is gonna happen, and so you're literally just reading to get to that moment. Like, that was me with this book. Like, I picked the person in the very beginning that I was like, if she doesn't end up with this dude, I'm losing my mind. And so I have to read wherever this series goes to see who she ends up with. again, I'm trash for it. I can't help it. Like, I read it in like 2 days because I was like, she's got to do something. 5 out of 5 stars, needless to say. Is it going to win any Pulitzers? Heckin' no. Did it make my heart happy? Heckin' yeah. Alright. Next book I read, this one's embarrassing. Mad as a Hatter by Kendra Moreno. It's a sexy twist on Alice in Wonderland. I'm a sucker for an Alice in Wonderland retelling as well as Peter Pan retellings. I don't know why, but those are my two like guilty pleasures. And this one was so... this one was not very good, but I loved it because, like, sometimes you like a book because it's not good. Is that just me? I think that might just be me. But, just a normal girl living in a normal world. All of a sudden, this guy with bunny ears pops up and is like, you need to come with me. And it turns out she's prophesized to fall in love with the Hatter. And so it's the Hatter, the Cheshire Cat, and the White Rabbit, and they each are prophesized to fall in love with a mortal girl, and they're all going to help them save Wonderland from the Red Queen. It's so dumb, but it's sexy, it's entertaining. It actually is a horror bent. Like, there's kind of like a horror aspect to it, and I'll tell you this, like, I wasn't overly impressed with the horror side of it, but the Tweedledee and Tweedledum in the book are absolutely terrifying. But yeah, they were actually pretty terrifying. I might keep reading the series just because, why not? It literally took me like one sitting to read, so it's not going to be any skin off my back. I gave it 3.5 stars because it is what it is. Next book I read was The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I'll go ahead and tell you, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's basically a retelling of The Turn of the Screw. Nanny gets to this new house. It's haunted. It's not haunted. What's going on? It was fine. The book was good. Literally in like the last 5 minutes, it just went nuts and completely fell apart. Like, once you literally find out who the antagonist is in the last like page, and it is so unsatisfying. I mean, you read it and you're just like, huh, alright. It's just so disappointed in it. Like, it could have been great. It was just good, which is disappointing. For me, Ruth Ware, like her first 2 books, In a Dark, Dark Wood and The Woman in Cabin 10, loved them. Didn't read The Lion Game. Haven't read it yet. Read The Death of Mrs. Westaway. It was fun. Very atmospheric. Not the best Ruth Ware book I've read. And then I read this one and it was fun. I don't know. I love Ruth Ware. Cause yeah. Side part. So like when you find a writer and it's their first book, it's their debut book, and you really like it, and like you kind of get behind it, like you support this book, and then they kind of get a little, like, they get more books out and they kind of get a fan base, and you're loyal to them because you were there in the beginning. Not to be all hipster with it, but like you were there back before it was cool. That's how I feel about Ruth Ware. Like, I found her very early on. Obviously, she had just written her first book, and I got it and I read it and I just fell in love. So whether her books are great or just good, I'm always going to read them because I can't help it. I'm going to do it. Alright, next book I read is called Cadaver Queen by Alyssa Whitney. Saying that right? I don't know. It is a Frankenstein related story, and as you may not know, or you probably do know because I don't shut up about it sometimes, Frankenstein's my favorite classic novel. It's Victor Frankenstein is essentially a reanimated corpse, and there's this girl in a medical school, but she's a girl, so she's not supposed to be there, and it's weird. I don't know. It was weird. I gave it 4.5. I might knock that down to 4. It was good. It was entertaining. I read it very quickly. Um, Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really have that much more to say about it. Oh well, Cadaver Queen. Read it, don't read it, I don't care. Alright, the next book I read is called Shopaholic Takes Manhattan. I love Sophie Kinsella. She is one of those writers that can do no wrong. She makes my heart happy. She is one of the few writers who can genuinely make me laugh. The Shopaholic series is probably one of the cutest series I've ever read in my life. I'm so happy she's coming out with Christmas Shopaholic at Christmas this year. Super exciting. I think it's been a hot minute since Shopaholic book came out. So I'm super stoked about it. Shopaholic Takes Manhattan is the second book in the series. Aside from saying she goes to Manhattan, I can't really give too much away. But it's so funny. Like, I mean, she literally had me rolling. I was laughing so hard. I love Sophie Kinsella. 5 out of 5 stars. I don't think I've read a Sophie Kinsella book that I didn't give 5 out of 5 stars. But I'm kind of easy to please when it comes to romantic comedies. But it is what it is. Alright, so we're winding down. Next book I read, Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. Go ahead and say it. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was super good. It's about this girl who is the daughter of the Pirate King. And she gets captured by some fellow pirates. And she is searching for something. They don't know that. They think that they've captured a good loot. But in reality, she's like, no, totally wanted to get caught. Oh. And it's just her story amongst this ship. Why are words so hard? It's the story of her, and there's a sequel, and I'm probably going to read it because I actually kind of want to see where this story goes. So yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. Daughter of the Pirate King. Next 2 books I read, total disappointments. The first one is Carnival Nightmare, edited by Ellen Datlow. 2 stars. 2 stars. The only reason I gave it 2 stars is because I was able to finish it. So if I can finish a book, it's at least got to be 2 stars, right? Because if it's a 1 star, I'm not even going to bother reading it. That's not true. I have read a 1 star before. But anyway, one thing I have come to find, and it's really disappointing, Ellen Datlow is a huge name in the horror community as far as editors go. She is a very well-respected name, so when you see her name on a book, you know it's going to be good. That said, all of my experiences with Ellen Datlow have been disappointing. I'm starting to think I'm just not a fan. I find there's too much magical realism, especially in this one. The stories were just so disconnected, not from each other, but within each story. There was just such a disconnect from between what was happening and what we were being told and what we were being sold. I mean, it was just so, like, I don't even know what I read on some of those stories. There were a handful. There were like 2 stories that I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. But some of them I was just like, what the flip-flop did I just read? I was just so disappointed. Ugh. I'm never going to get that time back spent reading that book. And I guess it's fine. Lesson learned. Don't trust Ellen Datlow if you're me. I don't know. Maybe she'll surprise me one day. Next book I read was the Heartwood Box by Anne Aguirre. 2 stars. Yet again. 2 back to back. This book had so much potential. So, the hardest thing, I think, for a YA Arthur the Aardvark. I think one of the hardest things for a YA writer to do is speak teen. Like, it is so hard to talk like a teenager because teen language is ever changing and evolving, and it's fluid. I mean, I know this, I'm giving a lot of credit, but it's true. Like, words are being created every day, and you can't I guess it's like with anything, you can't make an entire generation into one language. Does that make sense? Like, there's so many different types of youth that they don't all sound the same. So, you know, what up, man? Like, it's just, I don't know. I just get so... Anyway, it was very obvious that Anne was not a teenager. Nor was she a POC, and that comes into play. So let's get on with the plot. So the plot of Heartwood Box is this young girl. Her mother is American, her father is Mexican, and she was raised in Mexico. Well, her parents are like wartime journalists, I guess, and so they're going off somewhere. So she has to stay with her great aunt in a state, I don't know, but in America. So she is multi-ethnic. She is mixed. She is of mixed race. But it is very clear that the writer was not. So this may be a controversial thing, and I understand that people lean both ways on this argument, but I genuinely feel that unless you have first-hand experience of something, it is very difficult to take that stance as a writer. So I am not a black male, so I would never try to write my main character as a black male. Does that make sense? Like, I have no comprehension of what comes along with that. So it would be very hard for me to get inside the mind of that character. Side characters, absolutely, because you're not in their heads. You know, you can reference for that, I guess. But this was just so, it was almost insulting to read. I hated it so much. And the writer her children are of mixed heritage, and so I guess she is drawing on that. Does she have children? Yes, she has children. I looked into this because I could tell that she was not a person of color based on the way she wrote from the perspective of a person of color. I had a lot of issues with the story. Honestly, I don't even care about the plot. The plot was crazy. It was like Stranger Things meets something. It's the tagline said it. It wasn't even me that came up with the comparison. It doesn't even matter because the book wasn't that great, because I was so distracted by the fact that the writer just wasn't getting what she was trying to say. I would not recommend this book. I hate to be this way, but I would recommend this book to teach someone how not to write characters. Honest to goodness, it was so painful. Ugh. Sorry, I just didn't like it. 2 stars. Never gonna read anything else this writer. Like, just don't do it. Just don't write about people that you don't know the mind of. I mean, you know, men write women characters, women write men characters. I get it, it happens, but like, I just feel like the struggle is so much different from people of different ethnicity or sexual orientation, or, you know, like I feel like I'm just not saying things right, but like, if I wanted to write about being rich, I feel like I could research that. Like, I feel like I could get into the mind of a rich person and do that. But if I wanted to write from the perspective of like a transgender person, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because I don't know what that's like. I don't know what daily life is like for that person. Like, it rubbed me the wrong way. Sorry, didn't like it. Alright, 2 more books in the month of October. The first one, not the first one, but the first of the last 2, get it together, girl, is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. Everybody knows what this book is about. 2 queens, 1,000 years apart. One is the Queen of Blood, one is the Queen of the Sun. Who's who? We might never know. It was fun. I'll keep reading it just because it's a trilogy, so it's not like I'm investing a poop ton of time into this. The twist at the ending seemed kind of obvious to me. I didn't know how they were going to work it based on some facts. But Furyborn, Claire LeGrand. I gave it 3.5 out of 5, meaning it was a fun book. Alright, and the last book I read was actually a nonfiction book, which I don't often read nonfiction book. If I'm going to read nonfiction, it's probably going to be a comedian's memoir, because those are the only memoirs I read, or true crime. I read Unfollow by Megan Phelps Roper, and she was the granddaughter of Fred Phelps, the leader of the Westboro Baptist Church, and it was all about her story growing up and leaving the church. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. This one was a very interesting book. When you read about or hear about the Westboro Baptist Church, you just think one thing: hate. You know, tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you think of anything else. And so to hear the story of somebody who actively loves these people, not for their role in the church necessarily, but because it's their mother, it's their grandfather, it's their aunts, their uncle, like, that's your family, like, they're preaching all this hate, but in your eyes, you know, these are the people that tuck you in at night, these are the people that put band-aids on your boo-boos. You know, it definitely humanized a lot of the church members for me, which is ironic because I feel like all they do is dehumanize people. And so for us to turn around and do the same to them is kind of like ironic? I don't know. But I really enjoyed it. It was very eye-opening. And it's the kind of story I like. Kind of story I like. Alright. So that is all the books that I read in the month of October and November. Nope, JK, September and October. Words are really hard. If you liked it, that's cool. If you didn't, that's okay too. 'Cause I'm here for everybody's opinion. Unless it hurts my feelings, please don't. Thanks. Leave a comment, start a discussion. If you don't, that's okay too. Alright, so husband, thanks for editing this, and bye Aunt Nancy, I love you. Bye.